I was trying to figure out what should I call this story. The story of this car going to break records at the auction, because it's going to Sotheby's auction in Monterey during Car Week. By the time you watch this video, I hope it sold for a record price. If not, then this is the road to Monterey.
I think it's becoming so scarce right now to find these cars. If you can find things with AMG on them that you can actually get at a valuable price you think is a fair price, you might not have a chance to do that for a long time.
It's up to guys like us to educate the masses and let them know what they're looking at, because I feel like people don't even know what they're looking at.
I mean, there are cars that we've picked up only because we kind of hopped into auctions because we knew it was going to be a very fair shake, that we think are worth 5 to 10 times what we bought them for in auction, just because the market didn't catch on that day.
Yeah, that day. It's literally a day-to-day basis with these things, guys.
The auction came to a close, and the SEL did not meet its reserve. Maybe the timing was wrong, or maybe we were too ambitious with our estimation of its value. The SEL only went up to $140,000.
Below value.
Below value, okay, it's
100%.
Yeah. The way I look at it is that you're going to have in this market, when it comes to people that want these AMG cars, these pre-merger cars, you're going to have, of course, different tiers of quality and different ways people are going to view it at different times. And auctions are always funny. You can get a certain response on any given day.
Car interior is gorgeous. It does have the later engine. So when you talk about Hammer engines or you talk about AMG pre-merger cars, this has the 119 engine, which is the later heads. It's more reliable, but it isn't that iconic 117 engine with the 4-cam engine. So you could almost ding it there.
With this, when you look at the real premier tier of a collector's car, the 126 AMG cars, you want to be as original as you can to the original factory/AMG modifications. And the engine is always a question, right? So is it a single overhead cam, is it a double overhead cam, is it a hybrid M117, M119 engine? That all plays into it. So you could have a collector that would see that same car, and if it had the M117 6.0 Hammer engine, you could have doubled that number that day.
I believe it was a color change. So yes. I think, listen, if it was the original black, I think this car would have brought probably another 20, 30, 40 grand more.
I also feel like it didn't sell because we weren't bidding on it.
I thought so too.
I think also the lack of documentation on these cars. Like, people want to know today who did the paint work. If there is any paperwork to support it. I mean, I don't think you can. It'd be hard to fake one of these cars, but still, people want to see paperwork and things like that. But man, I can only imagine what this car would look like if it was black.
We stayed firm because we believed the car was worth much more. All right, so I'm here with Victor and Dan, the Patina Collective. Also supported the decision not to sell. So good, then I'm glad I held the reserve and did not, So
you did the right thing.
I believe that value was, and I just wanted,
100%, $250,000 all day on that car.
I think too, you do things too, and the question is, what was holding up the value on that sale that day? And it's hard to quantify, but you can go back and say, well, should it be back to an original paint color, or should it be the same paint color when it was imported originally? And maybe there's a lot of questions you can have back and forth in terms of what can you do to the car to improve the value so it's more consumable. But I think it's I think anything that you can show, okay, here's an AMG engine in a car, it all looks legit, it all looks like it makes sense. It's not anything that's hacked together that people can tell, okay, this looks like the right type of car and is authentic. People should jump on it.
They have similar examples in their collection, and I was not going to undercut the value of these rare made-for-Japan SELs. It was time to lay low and decide how to move forward. We're going to wait a while, regroup, and put it back at auction, because we know the value in this car is high.
For somebody who wants something that nobody else has in this kind of sphere of vintage AMGs, I think this car checks a lot of boxes. There's a very narrow audience for this particular example, and who knows, they could have their day one day as being the ultimate big body AMG limo, which is a very, very cool thing.
For several years, there were no definite comparable sales on the W126 6.0 SEL AMGs. The SEC wide-body coupes were rising steadily in value, but pinpointing a price point on the SEL was difficult.
The coupes will always have more value, just because it's a more appealing vehicle.
More of an enthusiast car, more appealing.
They're
car.
less made, there's less of them made. In general, the coupe was always more expensive at the dealership. Historically, the coupe is just a better car as far as...
More iconic.
Yeah, just better as far as the performance and the look most of the time.
So right now, John Temerian, Curated, is putting together like an AMG registry. He has like the Hammers, the 124 Hammers, the SEC wide bodies. These are coming up right behind. These are rising in value. The 126 pre-merger cars, the 6.0s, they're rising in value.
SELs are still a acquired taste when you're talking AMG enthusiasts. Most people think of the 124 cars, which is the Hammer, or they think of the SEC, or they think of the wide body. I mean, that's the initial, reaction. But I think it's money in the bank regardless. You're never going to lose money on these cars, and I think the value is only going up and up and up.
For the SEL, I'm still a bit surprised that it's lagging behind a bit. Simply for the fact you need to comprehend, like it's a saloon with such a powerful engine. So this car doesn't just speak to the hot rodder or crazy guy back in the 80s, but much more to a high performance connoisseur.
There's one coming up at auction at Miami Beach. What do you think? What are the chances of that car? You think it'll set a record for an SEL?
I think it definitely. I don't know the condition of the other car. I don't even remember like the documentation wise, but I think it definitely has the potential.
That car being, the color that it was originally born with, and it does look like it is a 117 4-cam car. I do need to refresh my memory on the photos, but the 117 4-cam cars do bring close to 100 to 200,000 premium based on that engine, of the desirability of that engine. The fact of not many of those cars survived, so to find one that does exist and still runs and drives is very desirable.
I actually know the owner of the car, and a lot of his stuff, he always had incredible AMG stuff. So my assumption it's a really good car just because of his other cars. So it could potentially bring a record.
All right. So I'll see you at the auction. We'll be there.
We'll see you there.
So up there is 1111 Lincoln Road. That's where the Sotheby's auction will take place tomorrow evening. And right now we're here for a private preview to check out the AMGs. So let's go check them out. Stunning SLR. The 6.0 560 SEL is right over there. We'll go check it out. AMG 107. Recaro seats. 500 SL. AMG. Now it's offered without reserve, 90 to 120,000 to start, but it could go higher. So this is what I came to find out. Really, this is my mission, to see what this car does at the auction, and then we can determine where to price our silver 6.0 560 SEL from 1991. This car is undervalued right now, we don't know. So this is the beginning of this trend that we're seeing, this popularity of the pre-merger AMG cars. So, I don't know, we'll see what the final auction price is tomorrow. AMG double overhead cam 6.0 wide body. This is probably going to hit $450,000. I mean, these are hot commodities right now.
111. This is a cool one. This is a 1987 Mercedes-Benz 560 SEC AMG 6.0 wide body.
175,000, 425,000, 620,000, 250, 265. Sold $730,000. 130,000 going once. 120 bid. Sir, do you want to reconsider? 130 with RJ, now 140. I have 130 in the floor. Now 140,000. 140, now 150. Now 150 to you, sir. Now 160. 160,000. At 150, 160,000, Zach, you're out. 100.